Welcome to the Sage X3 coffee break demo. I will now pass you over to my colleague John Loftus, who is our Sage X3 product expert, who will take you through a short demo of the features and capabilities of the software. We hope you find this useful.
So what is Sage X3? Well, it's Sage's flagship product, their global product. It's sold all around the world. So it's a global product. It's supported by Sage all over the world, which is great. In terms of the platform itself, it's again multiple choice. So it can all be cloud-based, if that's your preference, or you can have it on premise. Or we can host it privately for you here at CPIO. It's again entirely up to you. It sits on typically on Microsoft SQL Server, but it can also be run on Oracle as well. I've never dealt with one on Oracle because it performs so well with SQL that I'm not aware of anybody who's been involved with an Oracle one just yet. So in terms of what's in the software, it's made up of, as you'd expect with an ERP system, a number of different areas covering finance, distribution, warehousing, manufacturing, and projects. So, and within that, of course, are individual modules, if you will. So let's jump in and just click on my process map and just pull up a screen just to show you what a screen looks like. So this is a typical screen. I happen to be in part number setup here. And just to talk you through one screen, and then everything else in the system will make sense. So down the left-hand side of the screen is a list of whatever it is that you're in. So I happen to be in part number setup. So here is a list of all the part numbers that I am allowed access to. Then in the middle of the screen, across a number of different tabs, are all the fields where I can enter information. And then down the right-hand side of the screen are all the functions that I am allowed to perform. So this could be different for different users. So you can see here, because I'm sort of logged in as a system administrator here, I can go away and allegedly delete part numbers and add new part numbers. Now you might not want to give people permission to do that. So again, what functions and inquiries, etc., people are allowed to perform, what fields they're allowed to see and edit, and in fact, what data they're allowed to see in those fields is all completely open for you to decide. So, you know, using my example earlier of an organization that's got operations in the UK, Germany, and the US, you might want, when a German person logs in, they just see the German data, their German customers, their German suppliers. They don't see all the US ones and the UK ones. So it's not cluttering up their screens with information that they don't necessarily need to see. I mentioned about being able to customize things like process maps. Well, in fact, you can customize pretty much all of the system. What do I mean by customization? Well, in this case, where I'm looking at some a setup of the part number here, if I want to add in some extra fields, if I want to add a whole new screen and stick 1,000 extra fields on, knock yourself out. That's all stuff you can do. The system is designed to allow you to do that. So where traditionally that might have been a bit of bespoke that we'd do for you, now we just call that customization. I mentioned that Sage X3 is multilingual. So the system itself is available in multiple languages, but you can also operate it in multiple languages if you deal with customers or suppliers from overseas. So this description of this set of bike gears that I'm looking at here, if I wanted to, I could add translations into here and have this item in multiple different languages. So if I was raising a sales order acknowledgement to a customer in China, for example, then there's no reason why I couldn't print this out in Chinese, that type of idea. So you can add in translations for part numbers. And again, my colleagues in Germany, when they log in and look at this same part number, because we're all sharing the same information, they can see it in German. Okay, so Sage X3 itself is designed to work in either a single or a multi-company environment. When we start to look at things like financial operations, and if we're wanting to do things like consolidations, aggregations of information, if we wanted to trade intercompany, with intercompany sales and purchase invoices, intercompany nominal ledger journals, all of that type of thing is an absolute breeze to do in Sage X3 because all the data is all together in the same place. So I'm not having to extract it from one SQL database and somehow blow it into another one. So it does make life much, much easier in those sorts of scenarios. So what else is there inside of the system? So I mentioned some of the financial modules there. So things like stock and all the distribution modules. So things like stock, purchasing, sales. There's also landed costs, container management, transport, receipting. I mentioned quality control. So again, that's just a standard module that's built into the software, and that works around purchasing, but also around the manufacturing side of the software, so that when you're receiving goods in, they can be locked in quarantine, and then they can go through a full quality control process, which you again can define what are those tests that need to be carried out, and what are the pass-fail criteria for each of those tests. So it's not just a simple, has it been inspected, yes or no, did it pass? And I'll actually manage the QC process outside of the system somewhere else. It's all managed in the core software. So if you've ever bought anything from something like Amazon, you get an email or you get a text message saying, thanks for your order. And then a bit later, you'll get another email saying, we've shipped your order. So typical alerting type stuff. So that again is just a standard thing that's built into Sage X3. And again, you can create those yourselves and define how you want those alerts to be sent. And they can either be sent internally or externally out to your customers and suppliers. There is a full workflow engine as part of Sage X3 as well. So that's typically used for things like authorizing purchase requisitions, authorizing maybe supplier invoices, but you can set it to authorize pretty much anything. So if a sales order goes on at below a certain margin, you might want the workflow engine to lock that sales order and send it to a manager to be authorized before it goes into production, that type of idea. So quite a lot of options there for you. Document management, again, is built in. So by that, I mean things like designing your outbound documents and being able to print them out, of course, but also email them straight out of the system to your customers and suppliers, and also managing inbound documents as well. So for things like processing of suppliers' purchase invoices, that type of thing when they come into your building, and of course putting all of those into the document archive. So again, all standard stuff that you'll find inside of Sage X3. So auditing, security is again a standard part of the system, and because it is designed to be an international product working with lots of users in different areas, the security and auditing in here is really, really strong. So everything that anybody does is date and time stamped, so we can track the kind of who did what when, and that's also useful for making sure that we're compliant with any quality procedures and quality standards that we need to work to, because everything's stamped, so we can track who's done what. From a security point of view, you've absolutely got control over who can see what in the software. So you can see I'm sort of logged in as lots and lots of different people here, so I can move about the system and pretty much go wherever I like. But the idea is that you can absolutely control what people are and aren't doing. So Sage X3 allows you to hold stock in multiple costing methods. And in fact, you can hold a piece of stock with multiple costing methods. So you might want to do average costing, but actual as well, just to see how things are going. So there's lots of flexibility around that. I can also hold stock in multiple units. So I've got 3 pallets and 2 singles on stock. It's not just how many you've got on stock. And I can stock it, buy it, sell it, pack it, use it in manufacturing in multiple units of measure. So you might buy it by the litre and then consume it by the milliliter, or you get the idea. We also have really extensive stock allocation rules in here. So if you've got products like food items where you need to make sure that you're sending the oldest stock first, so you're rotating your stocks, that's all good stuff. There are numerous options around warehouse management. So in terms of receiving stock, putting it through QC, put away, pick face replenishments, sales order picking, barcode scanning, all that type of stuff. I think the other thing I was going to mention in stock that I had challenges with was moving stock from one site to another. So when I was using line 500 and I wanted to move stock from warehouse A to B, there was nothing in between. It just kind of went pop and it had moved magically like something off Star Trek. Whereas actually that's not real life. It's left me, but it's not arrived with you yet. And that's what I want to be able to see in the system. And also I want to be able to see if there's any stock at my subcontractor or any stock held on consignment with a supplier or indeed with a customer. So all of those options are available to me. This request for quotation functionality, again, very, very useful. It allows me to send out to multiple suppliers to say, please, can you give me your best price and delivery for this? And then when I get the responses back, I can then choose which one I'll go and buy it from, or indeed set up some price lists based upon the responses that I've got back if I want to. So price lists generally in Sage X3 are much, much, much easier to use and much more sophisticated. So basically you can base a buying price, or indeed from a sales point of view, a selling price. You can base that on any field pretty much anywhere in the system, including fields you've added in yourselves. So knock yourself out on pricing. It's really, really extensive in terms of what you can do. I'll just jump onto one other screen. So again, typical sort of a screen. I mentioned the idea of it being a single folder type solution. So we've got this idea of, I mentioned, common data. So I actually happen to be on a customer setup screen here, but as you can see, this customer could be a customer, a sales rep, a prospect, supplier, etc., etc. All of that information is held in the same place. So if you end up with a customer who is also a supplier, you don't have to set them up twice. It's just a simple tick exercise to say, yeah, they are actually, it's the same company. And that really works together nicely when you start to think about CRM. You know, what have I done with this company this year? Because they are a customer and a supplier, so I want to know, you know, how well have I performed, but how well have they performed? Should I be dealing with them? Should they be dealing with me? So yeah, it's important that we can pull all of that information together really, really easily. You can add in unlimited addresses against a customer. Each one of those isn't a separate account that you set up in the sales ledger. It's just one record with unlimited addresses, unlimited delivery addresses, and things like contacts. Again, you can add as many of those in as you wish. This request for quotation functionality, again, very, very useful. It allows me to send out to multiple suppliers to say, please, can you give me your best price and delivery for this? And then when I get the responses back, I can then choose which one I'll go and buy it from, or indeed set up some price lists based upon the responses that I've got back if I want to.
We hope this coffee break demo provided you an insight into the flexibility of Sage X3 and an understanding of the way it may potentially fit for your organisation. If you would like to explore Sage X3 a little further, we would be happy to talk to you. Just contact us using the details on this slide.